Today we are enabling Hyper-V on Windows 11. Hey there, this is Tom with Tom's Tech Show, and today we're going to go over enabling Hyper-V in Windows 11. It's pretty straightforward. There's a few extra settings that we need to look at once we get Hyper-V installed, our CPU scheduling, how that works, and where to set that. So let's get into this. I go over and I do everything that I do most times is some type of virtualization. So I have VirtualBox running on this system. There's videos on how to use and install VirtualBox on my channel. In my colo location that I have for work, I use VMware. So in another consulting place, I use Hyper-V. So in AWS is their own flavor, but it's still virtualization. So it's kind of, that's kind of seems to be the flavor of how, things in the business world and stuff can go. But you can use them easily, try out new operating systems, do some configuration testing, all kinds of different things inside of a virtual machine, and makes it pretty easy. So you can't make mistakes if you want to try something out, see how that works. If you wanted to go to Windows, check Windows 11 out before you actually installed it on your own machine, make sure all your drivers are working for your printers and everything else. Really makes it nice to do that. So how do we get it installed? So we type settings. Now in Windows 11, they've kind of changed the settings panel around. So we're going to do this straight through the regular Windows 11 control panel, but this is going to take us to the old control panel as we navigate through. So we get to the control panel, go to apps, then here we go to optional features, and this pulls up a big huge list, and this is not the list we want. We want to go down to the very bottom where it says more Windows features. We click that, and this comes up with a more familiar window of all these Windows features that we used to know and hate or love, as the case may be. So we have some different things, containers. You can install a web server on here. You can do a bunch of things, but right in here we're going to just click the Hyper-V box, and that includes the Hyper-V platform, which is the hypervisor and services, and then the Hyper-V tools, which is the management portion, and just click OK. And then it's going to scan the files and get that installed. Okay, this just takes a few minutes. We are going to have to reboot. So there we go. Now it says restart now. So I'm going to click restart, which is going to pause the video. So let's do that and we'll be right back. Okay, we've rebooted now. I'm actually doing this on my production machine that I've actually upgraded to Windows 11, which runs okay except for the combining icons on the taskbar. Everything else seems to work so far. It's not too annoying. So I do have my start menu moved to the left. Yes. Okay. So to find where we need to go for managing our Hyper-V, we click all apps, come down here to the bottom, and there's this little area called Windows Tools. Now this kind of goes to the older area, that things that they haven't actually migrated over into kind of the Windows 11 menu and everything else. So there's this piece here, Hyper-V Manager. We're going to open that up. First thing that I'm going to do is go to Hyper-V Settings, and I'm going to change where my virtual hard disks and virtual machines are stored. So right now they're in program data, and users public is the virtual hard disk, and virtual machines is in program data Hyper-V, Windows Hyper-V. So we're going to change that. We're going to go to a different directory, a different folder here. So that way we will be more easily be able to find our machines. When Windows Hyper-V deletes machines, it only deletes the configuration. It doesn't delete a lot of the other stuff. So you got to go to that folder and find those pieces and delete them. And if you're in set your directory here, then you know exactly where to go to create a new machine or delete your old stuff out of the machines. So we can do a quick create, which gets us to this menu, which is nice that you can just easily load, an Ubuntu instance or a Windows 11 dev environment. We're not going to do that. We're going to a new virtual machine. We're just going to create one from the wizard. We're going to go next. This is going to be Windows 7 instance. I'm going to click next. We're going to say generation 1. Windows 7 doesn't need UEFI firmware, so we're just going to leave it at generation 1. A little easier to set up. I'm going to go 2 gigs of memory. And now you can use this dynamic memory for this virtual machine. Now what that's going to do is, as the system uses memory, it starts to use it. If you have multiple virtual machines, you have 2 of them and they're each can set up to use 2 gig, and you only have, one will if one's using more memory, you can actually take from the other. It's kind of dynamic, push me, pull you. If I'm using more memory, it'll squash you down, and you can set priorities for which can use more memory, which can't. The good thing is you don't need a full, you can use machines that have more memory and be able to dynamically allocate that, so you can kind of over commit a little bit. The bad thing is if you have a lot of resources, systems that take a lot of memory all at the same time, you're going to stomp on yourself. So that's just something to be aware of. Connect to the default network switch, and then we're going to say we got a Windows hard drive, and I'm not going to make it 127 gig. I don't think we need anything that big for Windows 7. We're going to make it 40. Install. We're going to install an operating system from an ISO. So we're going to click there. We're going to browse. Boom, there's our Windows 7 Professional with Service Pack 1. Right there, boom. Okay, we're going to go next. And we're going to go finish. So now we're creating all these resources. There we go, we're done. Okay, let's go in and look at some of the settings just to see how things here. Okay, we got boot from CD. We've got 1 virtual processor. We're going to tick that up to 2. Going to make things run a little bit better. If you do have a lot of virtual machines, you can again here set priority for these. So some, you can have multiple machines running. Say this one needs more resources than the other. So then we can set these virtual machine limits and what reserve percentage you want. Something you want to always have, say 15% reserve all the time, just to keep the heartbeat running in something. Then that's where you would set that. So we're actually going to set that to 5, just to keep it having some CPU ability. And then here we have Hyper-V is not configured to enable processor resource controls. Let's find out what that is. We're going to hit apply here, and we're going to click that button. Okay, this takes us to a Microsoft document. And this is managing Hyper-V scheduler type. So as we all know, many of these computers will have, bring this over here, by click CPU, we've got all these, it's got sockets, cores, and logical processors. So it's got 2 cores, each of those cores has 2 threads, and how we task and process information between those threads, Hyper-V needs to know about that, what type it is. So if we come down here towards the bottom of this, we can see there's different types of schedulers. So there's a classic and a root. So we need to find out which one our processor is using. So that's done. You can determine the current processor scheduler type by examining system log in Event Viewer. Okay, well, let's bring up Event Viewer. So, boom. We have Event Viewer. And let's click here, go to Windows Logs, System, create wait for it to come up. There's many events in Event Scheduler. Okay, so here we're going to filter, and we're going to say filter on. The event ID is 2. Source is going to come down to Hyper-V Hyper-V dash hypervisor. Okay. Hyper-V, type it. V pulls down Hyper-V dash hypervisor. So we click that right there, say okay, and then that's going to filter it out. So here we go. We've got Hyper-V hypervisor. Hypervisor schedule is type 4. Okay, so my CPU is a type 4, a root scheduler. Now, we need to go and run a command here for the boot type. So hypervisor scheduler configuration is controlled via hypervisor scheduler BCD entry. To select scheduler, type BCD edit, set hypervisor schedule, and then the type. So we're going to put root. So from here, we need to terminal, probably run as administrator. There we go. And this is probably going to be a reboot. I get this done. So BCD edit set hypervisor copy and paste. Why am I doing this? I don't know. So copy that, paste, and then we're going to type root. That's our scheduler. Enter. Operation completed successfully. There we go. So now, once again, we need to reboot. Let's go. Okay, we're back, and we have our virtual machine here, and I'm going to just start it. So nothing comes up. We don't get any window. Like VirtualBox would actually pop up the window by default for the operating system, where Hyper-V just automatically starts running it in the background. We can click the connect button, and that will get us connected to the console of the virtual machine, which is now loading and launching Windows 7. So we hit next, install now. So this is kind of just like, again, like installing it on a regular computer. You're going to see all those same screens, but this is like virtualized. This is a computer in a computer. Let you do all these things. So if I had an application that I ran way back when in Windows 7 and it doesn't really like, Windows 10, 11, Windows 8, 10, or 11, then definitely you can use something like this, run that application. It's going to take a little while to unpack all these files. So we'll take another pause, and then when it comes back, see it all up and running, and kind of show you what some things you can do for V and okay. Okay, we're back. Our Windows 7 instance has rebooted, so we're just gonna go finish this up here. Skip activation for now. Get it up and running. Home network. Go. And it's gonna finish up running a Windows 7 instance on our Windows 11 computer. Now I could put 10, I could put another version of 11 if I wanted to try some different apps in 11 to see how they work. A lot of different options, a lot of different things you can do. Or load Linux, or whatever. Load multiple flavors of Linux so you can try which one, see which interface you like. I'm a Debian person with the mate interface, so that's typically what I do, or I might do Mint with the mate interface. Kind of ends up that way. All right, so I can actually close this window even though it's still running in the background, and you can actually close all of the windowy pieces and have it all be gone. And you're sitting here with looks like nothing, but you have a virtual machine running in the background and doing stuff. So kind of makes it so that you can have something in the background that's doing some kind of process. Right now, Windows here, it automatically starts and creates a checkpoint. Now, VMware, we'll call it a snapshot. Checkpoint kind of seems like a better name, because what happens is You have your hard drive that you're running all your data to. When you make a checkpoint, it creates what's called a differencing disk, and that differencing disk writes all the changes. Anything new that you go from that point in time, like a bookmark, from that point in time is going to be written to the differencing disk. So, and when Windows reads things, it looks like if you do Windows updates, it replaces files or something, it looks at the differencing disk first and then goes to the regular hard drive for the file. Now, this is nice. So if you wanted to, say, have a base image of Windows 10 or Windows 11 and you want to install applications and see how they work, try them out, see what's going on with something, but then if you don't like it, so then you just click the apply and it will send you right back to where you were before that even installed. So a lot of cool things you can do with checkpoints. Now they do take up hard disk space, so if you get a bunch of them, you're just creating different differencing disks off of that. You can create, multiple layers of differencing disks, and sometimes in different hypervisors it can get a little bit crazy trying to compact them all back together. So be aware of that. Okay, so now we have a Windows 7 box. This Internet Explorer is extremely old. I don't even know if it's even going to pull up a web page at all. But I see our networking is not up and running yet, so that's going to take a little bit. But it has its own hard drive, has all of its emulated floppy drive, all this stuff on a Windows 7 machine on top of my Windows 11 machine. So there we go. That's it. Getting Windows Hyper-V, Microsoft Hyper-V loaded on your Windows 11 box. Got any questions? Comments down below. Thanks for watching.